Okay. I'm just interested, like, how do you align as in like the Jewish faith when like
Sure.
a big part of the Jewish faith is that like Jesus is not the Son of
Yeah.
God?
Yeah.
Like how I'm just like confused how like those things can contradict and you still
Yeah.
align more with Judaism
So
as
why
your
would so why would Jesus how could so if from your Jewish perspective and Jewish were you brought up in Judaism your whole
yeah.
life? So from your perspective, what would be a reason why Jesus can't be the Messiah?
He didn't like fulfill the Jewish things
Yeah.
that would fulfill being Messiah. Like we don't believe that the Messiah has come yet.
So you're saying that you don't believe that Messiah has come yet. Do you
Yeah.
have a passage, a pasuk in the Torah that you want to look at?
I'm not like going
Yeah.
into like a full
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thing into like the
Yeah.
Torah and Talmud and
Love
all
that.
that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like basis
Yeah.
like thing. Like I like there's like things that Judaism lays out as like what would
Mhm.
fulfill someone as Messiah,
Yeah.
and like Jesus just did not fulfill those criteria.
Yeah.
So like I'm just interested in like
Yeah,
how
no doubt on
and
that.
like my other question would be like, do you believe that Jesus is the Son of God? Because that would be like another thing that
Yeah.
is very contradictory to Jewish faith.
Yeah. So I'll give you two things to think about. Okay. So can Messiah be God? This is the question. Can Mashiach be God? So you have the Chabad,
Yeah.
who Meshachistim, and some of them are Elokistim.
Yeah.
So some believe that he's Mashiach, and some also
Yeah.
believe that he's God, right? Because they believe he's the Atzmut and the Guf, the divine essence in bodily
Yeah.
form. Where did they get this from? Did they make this up? Right? Or are they still at home with Judaism, believing that God can somehow take on flesh? Okay.
Yeah.
So can Messiah be God? What does it say in the Midrashim? Genesis Rabbah says that the spirit that was over the water, Merachefet al Panei Hamayim, is actually the Ruach Mashiach that was on the waters. And this is the Ruach Elohim that was on the waters. Isn't that fascinating? This is the Midrashim. So the question of can he be Mashiach? Daniel 9, 24, 27 says that the Messiah has to come at the end of 483 years from the time of the rebuilding of Yerushalayim, right? When you do the math, that takes you to the first century, the destruction of the second temple. Now you might say, this is your interpretation, you don't know what you're talking about. Rashi puts the time between the first and the second temple. So at the destruction of the second Beit HaMikdash is this the second end of that time period. Isn't that fascinating? So I would leave you with this, right? Because and we could ask more questions if you like to,
Yeah.
but if there's no Mashiach yet, then there's no Mashiach for Am Yisrael because the timeline has passed.
I'm gonna have to agree to disagree
It's all good.
here.
But check the Mefarshim
But
though.
I'm just
But check the Mefarshim, check Rashi on it,
yeah, I
and
was
check
just
his
interested in
Perush.
like what
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so that's
we
kind of like,
disagree
that's a
here.
huge thing about that. That's a huge, my God.
Yeah.
So here's another thing interesting. Would you say that Rambam is authoritative?
I'm like not
You don't
like,
hold by
very, like,
Rambam?
nitty-picky,
Yeah, no, it's all
like-
good. It's all good. I'll throw some at you. Because what I'm saying to you is not, everything that I'm saying is not disconnected from Judaism.
Yeah,
Even
I hear them what you're saying. Like there are things that align definitely with Judaism, but like holding Jesus to this thing is very like against
I get it.
Judaism.
No, I
So
totally
that's
get
where
it.
I'm like it's very contradictory to me. That's why I
Yeah.
was like intrigued of like,
Yeah.
like these ideas
Yeah.
are so like I'm gonna agree to disagree on
No, that's
some
okay.
of these
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
but
it's
I'm just
okay.
intrigued.
No,
so
but just consider,
instead-
right?
Yeah.
So think about this. Two comings of the Mashiach. This is like, it's not this isn't Judaism. What are you talking about, right? This like is insanity. Two comings of the Mashiach. So it's interesting because the first Redeemer has to be like the last Redeemer. This is very important. Ecclesiastes Rabbah, whatever it was is what will be. The final Redeemer is going to be like Moshe Rabbeinu. Agreed? The Geulah, the final Geulah. And we also believe in Geulah, redemption in stages also. This is very deeply embedded within Judaism. So Rambam's father, Rabbi Mammon, wrote a letter to the Yemenite persecuted community. And in this letter, he wrote that before Mashiach comes, the king, of whom it is said, today you're my son, today I've begotten you, God is going to send Moses back to help his people, help the king who's going to come, the Mashiach who's going to come. And where does Rabbi Mammon get this from? He gets this from Masechet Sota that says that Moshe never died. Indeed, all the rabbis teach that he's in heaven serving Hashem. So Moshe Rabbeinu gets two comings. Kol v'chomer, even if you apply light to heavy, so to Mashiach gets two comings. And we have to wait. Who we wait for? We do the Passover Seder. Eliyahu Hanavi, open the door, right? Because Eliyahu's coming. Im Mashiach ben David. He's coming with Messiah, son of David, right? So even Eliyahu gets two comings, okay? Elijah the prophet, so he's going to come. And in the Gospels, the New Testament, the Brit Chadashah, when Yeshua appears and he gets radiating, Yeshua is his Hebrew name, right? He's radiating Moses and Elijah appear with him and speak to him radiated while he's with his Talmudim during the festival of Sukkot. And they want to build Sukkot for him to dwell because they thought the Geulah was happening. From Zechariah 14.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy? But it is interesting though, right? It is interesting though. And I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but it's interesting though, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, I got it.
Yeah. But check it out. Think about this. Rabbi Mammon, read his Iggeret. I think you'll find it really, it's pretty long. It was translated from Judeo-Arabic and they have it in English. You can find it on JSTOR free, no problem. So they look at Rabbi Mammon's letter. Look at Masechet Sota, where Moshe is in heaven. Look at the Midrashim that says that the Spirit of God, the Ruach Elohim, is the Ruach Mashiach. And look at the two links between that, and you'll see how it's the same.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting to hear a different perspective.
No doubt. Absolutely. Great talking today. So one more thing. So Ezekiel 126, all right? Ezekiel 1, that's the Merkavah literature. Basically, he sees the chariots, right? And he sees all these things happening. And in Ezekiel 126, it says that when he looked, there was fire all around, and the form of Hashem was the form of a man. And then it goes on to say, you think, I'll pull it up I'll get you in Hebrew. Watch right now. You look yourself. I'll show you the Hebrew.
I'm not trying to get into
No. I know. But look into it. Ezekiel 126 to 28. All right, the first chapter. The appearance, it was Mirei Adam. And this was the Kovod Hashem. It says, from the Navi, not from me. And so go look into it, right? You'll see it.
Okay, interesting.
All right, no problem. I'll say flight, all right?